Over the decades, video games have risen from being a luxury to becoming an essential of the modern household. They hold a place unique within the entertainment industry due to their interactive nature with the audience, while also being one of the most profitable industries in the modern world.
Video games are a very useful tool. You can use them to educate.
They're interactive. You know, you're the one who has the input. You control the character.
It's got to be the fact that there's so much to do in each of them. You've got so much to explore and, well, complete on it.
Video games started to rise in popularity with the 1970s arcade consoles, set up in public locations where people spent money to play the game advertised on the machine. It was also within that same decade that home consoles like the Atari, with their now outdated graphics and clumsy controllers, became the household name, before America's gaming industry crash in 1983, which led to Japanese companies like Nintendo and Sega taking the gaming mantle of popularity in the US, while Europe turned toward PC gaming as its popular medium.
They've definitely come a long way. Original video games had so much less content. They didn't have the storage to, well, make them better games.
Well, the technology's come on leaps and bounds since sort of the late 70s, early 80s, where it was very much pixel-based 8-bit, and it was a matter of, like all things, like all technologies, proving that there's a market for it.
No longer are these things confined to like to one medium of being like something you plug into the TV and play at any time you want with a friend round. It's now much bigger than that. You've got more detailed graphics, you've got faster frame rates, you've got basically the ability to play on almost anything that's electrical and to play with anyone else around the world as well on top of that.
As the decades have gone by, video games have increased in both quality of graphics and capabilities, while the amount of controversies concerning the realism and depiction of violence spiked in the 1990s and early 2000s.
There's always going to be haters to it. Always.
You know, if someone wants to be violent, they're going to be violent. It doesn't matter if they've seen it on like Grand Theft Auto or you know, any kind of beat 'em up game. I don't think violence is, you know, introduced to young people through video games.
I think it's a fool's argument. No more than jazz caused people to lose their minds, or the Vatican had a problem with opera at one point. Rock and roll didn't steal your parents' soul, and video games won't steal your kids.
In the current decade, the gaming industry has split right down the middle. While professional companies made games before the new millennium, there has been a rise of the indie and self-started developers. The professional gaming industry specialise in making AAA games. Games that have been given a full budget and focus on making a high-quality product that has immersive graphics and other spectacular special effects. On the other hand, indie developers are people who do not use AAA publishers when making their games and turn to crowdfunding and early access development for creating their products. The fundamental idea of early access and crowd-funded games sounds good in concept. A small developer advertises the concept of their game and gets funding from the public who pre-order the game. The money the developers receive goes straight to the creation and development of the game, so that when the product is released, those customers who pre-ordered and funded it in its infancy get to enjoy the rewards of playing the finished game that they funded and of helping to influence the game during its development. However, this process has changed from being a revolutionary business model for small and upcoming indie developers into a status of infamy amongst many consumers and critics alike.
Indie developers can, you know, show off a game that they're working on, spark interest, and that will kind of start the ball rolling on them getting funded for something that they may not necessarily have been able to fund on their own. The problem with that, though, is that early access games do need to be taken with a pinch of salt because they are not the completed product. And it can be fun to play, but obviously there's going to be a lot of glitches and bugs, and it may put people off.
I think initially there will be some issues, like all things. You know, people will promise more than they can deliver. No Man's Sky was probably a very good example of that in its first initial release. The hype train built up and built up and built up, and I don't think Hello Games were in any position to deal with that, to be honest. They're a small indie studio of 20 people who are trying to get a product out, and the expectations arose, and that was something that would have put people off the early access sort of Kickstarter model, the self-funded model, so to speak. But what it offers is the chance for grassroots creators, people working in their basement, their bedroom, to come out and make games which again defy the stereotypes that the AAA market is looking for.
While changes in the development of games have received a mixed reception over the years, the technological development of games has led to great speculation of what gaming might be in the future. Throughout the 1990s, many companies have tried to create a VR product to sell to the public. However, those attempts failed to come to fruition. Currently, the development of technology has reached the point that many corporations see VR as the future of gaming.
It's definitely made a huge impact. Virtual reality's basically gone viral. Everyone loves it.
We are finally getting to a position where it's going to be more commercially viable. The virtual reality has been released and tried to be pushed at least twice that I know of, if not more.
They get to play around with the space you're in, and I think that's really cool. You can really make a game really immersive that way.
It's trying to create a new industry, or at least a new division in that gaming market of what technology can be.
It does look fun. You put a headset on and it's like you got a TV all around you. You want to be in that world that is being portrayed to you. And it's that kind of immersion that video games grows on.
Yesterday I was watching a news report on people using virtual reality to train surgeons. That is the future of it, like all things. They will find ways to treat people with PTSD using virtual reality. They'll find ways to treat people with all sorts of medical conditions using virtual reality. It'll just become the new normal.
Companies like Microsoft, Nintendo and others are investing in making multiplayer games playable with other games consoles in an attempt to unify the market. Some of the games already embracing this new development in technology include the world-famous Minecraft and Rocket League, which currently embraces a cross-platform player base covering PC, Nintendo Switch and Xbox platforms.
Cross-platform play is becoming an industry standard.
It can be done with like Minecraft. You can play it on PC, Xbox, tablet, and you can play online in a community where you're with your friends and it doesn't matter what you're playing it on.
Consoles won't be a thing in 10 years' time. It'll all exist on a cloud server. You'll have a subscription like Netflix and you'll go, I want to play Uncharted 2. And that's it.
Video games are one of the most popular mediums of entertainment in the modern lifestyle. People can play with anyone else online, and games can receive backing directly from their markets via the use of early access. As video games look forward to new mediums of development and expansion, we can only speculate what new experiences await us in the decades of technological development to come.